Okay, welcome to lesson number 7. In this lesson, we're going to learn about the different types of scale. There are 3 main types of scale. First one is a linear scale. That's what we have here. It's usually a bar like this one or a line that tells us or shows us the distance along the line. Okay, so in this case here, we've got 0. Just note that we've got 0 here, we've got 1 that side as well. Just be aware that that can happen sometimes, but more often than not, the scale will start at 0. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And they're kilometers, okay, in reality. However, on the map, you might be measuring in centimeters. So you can see that distance there. It does appear to be around about 1 centimeter, okay? We can confirm that by getting a ruler and measuring it. And we should probably use, that would be good practice. So 1 centimeter is 1 kilometer, 2 centimeters, 2 kilometers, 3 centimeters, 3 kilometers. And we can get a ruler, make sure that that is actually 1 centimeter. Once we confirm that, we can then simply get our ruler and measure on the map the number of centimeters, which will tell us the number of kilometers. The second type, is the ratio scale. And this one's a little bit more complex, but it basically means the same thing. What we're saying here with this ratio scale is that 1 centimeter on the map is 100,000 centimeters in reality. Okay, 1 centimeter we measure on the map is actually in reality, out there in the real world, 100,000 centimeters. So that's really important we understand that. Most of the time we'll work in centimeters for a ratio scale. Okay. All right, a couple of tips here. The third one here is the written scale. This is very infrequently used, but sometimes they're on maps. It's basically the same representation, but in words, okay? Now, all 3 of these scales mean the same thing, okay? 1 centimeter represents 100,000 centimeters. 1 centimeter, 100,000 centimeters. 1 centimeter, 100,000 centimeters, okay? The difference between them is that they have just converted them to kilometers, the centimeters to kilometers. Okay. Let's now take a look at this down here. So in terms of maps themselves, maps can be described as large scale, medium scale, or small scale, okay? Small scale maps show a large area, but not much detail. Large scale maps show a smaller area, but show more detail. And then medium maps is in between. Now, the relevant scales are written here. So this one here, 1 to 5 million, is a typical representation of a small scale map, while this one is typical of a large scale map. Okay, so what we would do on a map actually is get a ruler, measure from A to B on a map, and if it was, for example, 4 centimeters, if we take 1 and multiply that by 4, we get 4 centimeters. So we should do the same to the other side, multiply it by 4. 10,000 times 4 is 40,000 centimeters. That's how we actually measure out the ratio scale. But the problem is that it's in centimeters. So we have to convert from centimeters to meters, and possibly even from meters to kilometers. Now, the way we do that is I've got a little tip here. And basically, it's just a nice, easy way to remember how to do this. But essentially, if you take the right-hand number, let's take, for example, this one here. Just put a big box around that, okay? 1 to 250,000. And what we're saying here with this tip is that if you take out 2 of the zeros, it converts from centimeters to meters. So I'll show you what I mean by that. Here we have 250,000. If I take out 2 of the zeros on the end, 1 and 2, we now have 2,500. That's meters. We've converted it to meters. So 1 centimeter on the map is 2,500 meters. Okay. We can take this further. All right, so we've just gone from centimeters to meters. Crossing out another 3 zeros will take us from meters to kilometers. All right, so we'll do that with our diagram here. So I'm going to take out another 3 zeros. 1, 2, and we've got our 5 there. All right. So essentially our little dot point, doesn't really work very clearly, but our little dot point shows 2.5, okay, or 2.5. So what we've got here is 1 centimetre representing 2.5 kilometres. If we do it down here as well, convert from centimetres to metres, take another 3 zeros or decimal places, okay, and you've got 1 to 50. That's not where it was. 1 to 50, and that's now kilometres, okay, because we took out 5 zeros. Well, we moved the decimal place 5 places. If you're good at maths, that will make sense. So this is essentially how we use a ratio scale to measure distance and then to convert that measurement into metres or kilometres, which will be important when we learn about how to calculate gradient, because in gradient we will want to work in metres. Okay, so that would mean taking out two of those zeros. Last tip for me today is that with your linear scale, you can actually convert that and transfer it onto a piece of paper. Okay, if you don't have a rule, for example, you could take a piece of paper, put the piece of paper up along the scale and actually mark it 0, 1, 2. So mark on the piece of paper, and then above that or below it, probably below, you'd write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sorry, my 8, 9, and then 10 up the end there. Okay, so you'd mark it on a piece of paper, take the piece of paper and use that as your ruler, and that will help you measure distance. Okay, thank you. That's today's video on different types of scales and how to interpret them. Thanks for listening.